On June 1, the first day of Pride Month, the Defense Department announced that U.S. military bases would no longer be able to host drag shows.
This has been a longstanding policy in terms of activities like this that DoD will not host drag events at U.S. military installations or facilities. We became aware of the drag events during an April congressional hearing that there were drag events scheduled to take place at DoD installations and facilities. And so, again, the Secretary advised that the department will not host such events.
Although drag shows were not funded by American tax dollars, they were allowed to be privately organized on military installations. The ban had an immediate impact, with a Pride Month show at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada featuring a civilian drag queen named Coco Montrese canceled as a result. However, the U.S. military, contrary to current public perception, has a lengthy history when it comes to drag shows, particularly during World War II, when cross-dress events were not only sanctioned by the Army, but celebrated as a boon for morale. Because the armed forces were officially segregated by sex until 1948, there was very little choice for any service member theater production but to employ men as women. Images from the era show troops getting ready for shows by applying makeup and donning women's clothes before entering the stage. These productions included song and dance numbers, all set to rousing music.
Be a swing believer, get that beat in your blood. Who loves and it keeps the bloom of making? Come on, brethren, shake your feathers and get together and swing.
A now famous production known as This Is the Army included all manner of soldiers in various costumes, including women's clothing and makeup.
Tonight's a special occasion, so be especially bright.
In this production, cross-dressing was not only encouraged by the military, but it became a nationwide sensation. Though it was originally a Broadway musical intended to fundraise for the troops, it was eventually turned into a movie that starred an actor named Ronald Reagan, who would one day be President of the United States. Drag's origins, according to historians, came about through an array of theater traditions from cultures around the world. For much of history, women were not permitted to be actors, thereby forcing men to perform in feminine roles. Drag as we know it today derived from vaudeville theater, which is essentially just a variety show. I spoke to NYU professor Joe E. Jeffries, a drag historian, about drag in the military and how it was supported by Army officials.
What fascinates me is that the military was, supporting these shows. They were producing these shows. They even produced, handbooks of how to put on one of these shows, how to make costuming out of items that the military had access to, parachute material, this type of thing. So the military was actually involved in this.
But shifting perspectives in recent years, particularly from GOP lawmakers, have reclassified drag not as a form of theater art, but one of both sexual deviance and a continued embrace of wokeness, a concept being decried as a primary reason the services are failing to meet recruitment goals. As a result, the ban of on-base drag shows, which has effectively ended an 80-year tradition, doesn't appear to be going away anytime soon.